Hello Algebra 2 students, welcome to part 1 of section 10-3, the unit circle. In this section guys, you're going to learn how to convert angle measures between degrees and radians. Also, you're going to learn how to find the values of trigonometric functions on the unit circle. Guys, so far you have measured the angles in degrees. You're familiar with this system of measuring angles, and we use a small tiny circle to refer to any angle measured in degrees. Today you're going to learn how to use another system of measuring angles, and the unit of this system is called a radian. So what is 1 radian? 1 radian is the measure of the central angle theta, this central angle theta, in a circle with a radius equal to r, and opposite to this arc with a length is equal to the radius of the circle r. In this situation guys, the measure of this central angle theta is equal to 1 radian. So 1 radian is formed when the arc length of the opposite central angle is equal to the length of the radius of the circle r. Guys, the relationship between the degree system and the radian system is 1 complete round is equal to 360 degrees and is equal to 2 pi radian. Why 2 pi? Because the complete circle circumference is equal to 2 pi. So guys, 360 is equivalent to 2 pi radians, and 180 degrees is equivalent to pi radian. In order to convert angles measure from degrees to radian, you need to multiply times pi over 180. When you do the opposite, when you convert from radians to degrees, you multiply times 180 over pi. Example number 1 applies these two formulas guys. Convert each measure from degrees to radians or the opposite. Guys, when you see this tiny circle in the top of any measurement, you recognize this angle is measured in degrees. If you don't see this small circle, it's measured in radians. So our mission is to convert this angle negative 60 degrees from degrees to radians. Do you remember the formula? You multiply times pi over 180. If you simplify that guys, you can cross out this 60 and 180. You can divide by 60, it's going to be negative 1. If you divide by 60, it's going to be 3. So the measure of this angle in radians is negative pi over 3 radians. Don't substitute this pi with any other value, just leave it pi because the measure in radians. The opposite in part B, we given a measure of an angle is equal to 2 pi over 3 radians, and we need to convert this measurement from radians to degrees. The formula says you multiply that times 180 over pi. We can cross this pi with this pi. 3 divided by itself equal 3. 180 divided by 3 is equal to 60. So 2 times 60 is equal to 120 degrees. So 2 pi over 3 radians is equivalent to 120 degrees. Guys, today we're going to talk about a fundamental concept in trigonometry. Is called the unit circle. The unit circle is a circle placed in a coordinate plane. The coordinate plane is made up of the x-axis and the y-axis, and this circle radius is equal to 1 unit. So guys, we place the center of the circle at the origin point O, 0, 0, and the radius of this circle is exactly 1 unit. This is why we call it the unit circle. Guys, if we draw an angle in the standard position, this is going to be the initial side, and this is the terminal side of angle theta. If we choose any point on the terminal side on theta, exactly on the unit circle, the coordinates of this point P, X, Y can be expressed in a different way. What is that? If we create a right triangle in order to apply the trigonometric function, guys, this is our angle theta. the opposite side is exactly the y coordinate, it's y, and the adjacent side of theta is equal to x, and the radius of this circle r is equal to 1 unit. It's a unit circle. We choose the radius of this circle at the beginning to be 1 unit. So guys, if you apply the trigonometric ratio of sine, cosine, and tan, sine theta is equal to the opposite y over the hypotenuse r, the radius of the circle. But because our radius is equal to 1, y over 1 simplifies y. And same with the cosine trigonometric function, cosine theta is equal to the adjacent x over r. Because our r is 1 unit, so it's gonna be x. So the amazing thing, guys, any point on the terminal side of any angle on the unit circle can be expressed, instead of x, the point B can be expressed cosine theta, and the y coordinate y can be expressed sine theta, sine the angle theta. So any point, guys, on the coordinate plane, any point on the unit circle of any angle can be expressed instead of x and y, cosine theta and sine theta. Guys, the tan ratio is always, tan theta is always equal y over x, and it's the same ratio, the unit circle. Guys, you need to memorize some special angles on the right circle, and you need to memorize their corresponding points. Guys, it's very easy to memorize quadrant 1, and I advise my students to memorize the trigonometric functions of special angles in quadrant 1. They are very easy, and many of them are opposite to each other. So when the angle is 0, so the initial side and the terminal side are identical, the coordinates of this point is 1, 0. Guys, remember, it's a unit circle, so we traveled 1 unit to the right, and the y coordinate is 0. Opposite to that point is 0, 1. Remember, guys, this is cosine 90 and sine 90 because it's a 90 degrees. And this one right here, it's cosine 0, and this 0, it's sine 0. Guys, when the angle is 30 or pi over 60, this is the equivalent measurement in radians. The cosine is square root of 3 over 2, cosine 30 is square root of 3 over 2, and sine 30 is half. Opposite to the angle 60, if the angle is 60, the cosine is half, opposite to the 30, and the sine is the square root of 3. So guys, 30 and 60 are opposite to each other, so if you memorize 30, you can figure out the 60. So guys, angle 0 and angle 90 are opposite to each other. Angle 30 and angle 60 are also opposite to each other. Only angle 45 is a unique angle. It can be expressed instead of xy, it can be expressed cosine 45 and sine 45. The cosine 45 is equal to square root of 2 over 2, and the sine is also square root of 2 over 2. Guys, if you can memorize the whole unit circle, it's gonna be good. If you can't, at least memorize quadrant 1, and we can pretend we memorize everything. We can make up our answer. Guys, in example number 2, the directions of the question asks you to use the unit circle. So guys, we cannot directly use the calculator. We need to make up the problem. We pretend we are using the unit circle. We pretend we are memorizing everything in order to satisfy the question requirements. Use the unit circle to find the exact value of each trigonometric function. Guys, my job is to find cosine 225. So if you just hold the calculator and find cosine 225 and write down the answer, you will get nothing because you're not satisfying the question requirements. The question requirements, guys, it says use the unit circle, and the corresponding point of the angle 225, it's a special angle. The corresponding point of this angle is the point negative square root of 2 over 2 and negative square root of 2 over 2. So guys, you need to memorize the unit circle. If you are not able to memorize that, we can fake this point. We can use the calculator and find cosine 225 and put it as the x coordinate, sine 225 and put it as the y coordinate. Now guys, we have the point, so we're pretending we're using the unit circle. So according to that, guys, cosine 225 is equal to the x coordinate of that point is equal to negative square root of 2 over 2. This is my answer. Another part. Find tan 5 pi over 6. Guys, 5 pi over 6, it's also a special angle on the unit circle. If you don't like the radian measurement, you can write the equivalent degrees measurement. This angle gonna be tan 150. It's easier when you evaluate and when you use a calculator to use the angles in degrees. And guys, the corresponding point of this angle, the corresponding point of that angle on the unit circle is negative square root of 3 over 2 and half. This is the corresponding point. And again, guys, if you don't memorize this point, you know that the x coordinate is cosine, so you type cosine 150 in the calculator, it gives you negative square root of 3 over 2. You put it in an ordered pair, and sine 150 is half. This is the y coordinate. Now guys, we can pretend we're using the unit circle, and now our job or our mission is to find tan 5 pi over 6, which is tan 150, and the tan ratio is always y over x. So I'm gonna divide the y coordinate half by the x coordinate negative square root of 3 over 2. You can change this division and make it multiplication by the reciprocal of that number. If you put that in the calculator or simplify mentally, it gives you negative square root of 3 over 3. Practice well. See you in the next part of this video. Bye.